Good afternoon and welcome to UCEA YouTube Live. This is Daniel Moragas, Graduate Research Assistant and Doctoral Student at UCEA at the University of Virginia. I'm here today to interview Dr. Shelby Cosner as a part of her candidacy for the UCEA Executive Committee. Today, listeners will be hearing from Dr. Cosner, Professor and Director of the Center for Urban Education Leadership at the University of Illinois at Chicago. Her research interests include organizational change, leadership for school improvement, principal preparation development, and principal preparation program improvement. Welcome, Dr. Cosner.
Hi, Daniel.
Let's go ahead and begin with our first question. Please tell us about your background and your work as it relates to UCEA's mission and goals.
Great. Well, I'll start backwards and work my way to the present day. So in starting my career in the field of ed leadership, I was a school and a system level leader for over 10 years. When I left the principalship, I transitioned into graduate studies, and I was a doctoral student and a graduate assistant at the University of Wisconsin Madison. That's where I really got connected to UCA. I attended UCA each year, and I participated in the David L. Clark Seminar. When I left UW-Madison, I transitioned immediately to UIC, where I'm at now. I'm currently a professor in the Department of Educational Policy Studies, and I teach in two doctoral programs. One is our PhD program for people that are moving into the academy in positions like my own, and the other is our EDD program. For several years, a number of years, I served as a co-leader of that program, and it's one of 5 programs that UCEA has identified as an exemplary leadership prep program. Currently, I'm also the director of the UIC Center for Urban Ed Leadership. And just as background, that center is a major research center on educational leadership, and it's also a professional development center for leaders of all types in educational organizations. And then lastly, I've been a member of the plenum since 2012 when UIC came into the UCA network.
So you've served for several years as a plenary session representative. Tell us about your engagement in UCEA's governance.
Got it. So since 2012, I've had the opportunity to serve on the plenum. What that entails is attending the governance meetings that are associated with the UCEA meetings. I have participated on all the voting of new programs, and I've participated on the advocacy campaigns that we've done at the Capitol Hill. Most of my UCA involvement has sort of gone beyond the area of governance and moved more into the areas of a whole range of service projects that I've taken on at the request of and in behalf of UCA.
Okay. Dr. Cosner, in what other ways have you engaged with UCEA?
Got it. So let me talk about 3 or 4 ways that I've been really involved in UCA over the last, let's say, 5 or 6 years. So first, following our program's award as an exemplary educational leadership preparation program, and we were one of 2 programs that received the award in the inaugural year, UCA has asked me to first serve as a member on the selection committee for the EELP awards. I did that for 1 year, and then they asked me to lead that committee for the last 4 years. So I've been involved in that work, as well as working with UCA leaders to think about the award more generally, how to think about the award criteria, to think about the materials that we use for scoring the awards, hosting webinars to help programs across the country learn about how to apply for the award. And then following that, holding numbers of sessions at UCA to either speak broadly about exemplary leadership preparation, to speak about improving preparation programs, or to speak about programs that have been selected for the award. So a lot of work that I've done has really targeted helping to catalyze program improvement in UCA member institutions over the last, let's say, 5 or 6 years. Now, in addition to that work, UCEA has regularly asked me to serve on national committees, particularly committees at the national level that are working on issues like principal preparation program improvement, evaluating the quality of preparation programs, and developing a research agenda around preparation, leadership preparation, and program improvement. I'm going to be involved in a project of that nature coming up this summer that brings together both AERA and UCEA senior leaders to really think about developing a research agenda for the field. Beyond those two areas, there are two other areas that I've been involved with. I'm very involved on editorial and publications boards. I serve on the EAQ editorial board, the JRLE editorial board, and on UCEA's publication board. On UCEA's publication board, we most recently were involved with the selection of the new EAQ institutional home. I've also been involved in serving as a reviewer for the EAQ Davis Award. And then lastly, related to UCEA, I'm tapped regularly and asked by UCEA to serve as a mentor and supporter for graduate students and early career scholars. Regularly at UCEA, I collaborate with other scholars to host grant writing seminars, seminars on writing for publication, and I participate in a number of activities that mentor and support either graduate students or early career UCEA scholars.
Great, thank you. Can you discuss with us your scholarship, your research projects, your teaching, or service that can inform the work of UCEA, particularly the work of the executive committee?
Yeah, so let me start. I'll try to take each of those areas in turn. An area of work for UCEA relates to conducting and disseminating research on the essential problems of schooling and leadership practice. And so my research really situates squarely in that world. My research focuses in two broad areas, and I'll briefly discuss one and then I'll shift to the other one. One area of my work focuses on educational leadership preparation and development. And in that area, really thinking about improving and redesigning leadership preparation programs, the elements of more robust preparation, particularly when I think about those robust elements, the design and use of active learning pedagogies and leadership coaching as an assistive relationship related to the clinical experience. And then a second area of my research relates to leadership for school improvement, with a particular emphasis on the development of organizational capacities. So far, my research has paid a lot of attention to issues of trust and collaborative data practices as capacities in organizations that can support school-wide improvement. So I do believe that my research strongly aligns with UCEA and UCEA's goals of conducting and disseminating research that supports essential problems of schooling and leadership practice. My work at UIC, though, I want to sort of get under the hood of that a bit. Over the last 14 years that I've been there, I think really could make key contributions across the UCEA network. For the years that I've been there, UIC has been a really amazing setting for continuous improvement of a principal preparation program. And I have been, over the years, a co-leader of that program in various roles. But largely, my role has been, over the years, to really be one of the primary leaders of our continuous improvement work. And so, as you can see from things that I talked about earlier, we have developed a program that has been identified as exemplary by UCEA, but also more recently, our program is the only higher ed leadership preparation program to be identified by the Carnegie Foundation as a program with expertise in continuous improvement. So from what I have learned in my leadership of our program at UIC, I've already started to really port those lessons to other programs, not just from the writing that I talked about earlier, but from sort of boots on the ground work. Two areas that I'm working on currently. I am the project leader for UIC's efforts to mentor programs, some of which are UCA programs, involved in the Wallace Foundation's $47 million grant project to transform higher ed programs, principal preparation programs. So in that role, I'm working really closely with UCA, that is a partner to that work. And I am leading UIC's efforts to mentor two programs, the University of Connecticut and Western Kentucky University. And so I'm learning a lot about not just what it means to improve programs, but how to support other programs that are doing really intensive program improvement work, how to support them individually, and how to think about doing that when they're in a network. And as the Wallace network is. And so I think those are things that are really, that would be skills and understandings that would be very important for UCA generally, but also for the executive committee, that I know will has as an important area of work continuing to support program improvement and redesign across the member networks. I've also been able to support UCA very directly. UCA has a PD NIC with 5 different areas where 27 programs across UCA programs across the country are working for making program improvement. And although UIC is involved in that network as a peer, we have been a leader of a site visit so that UCA teams that are investigating a particular area, and they were really interested in sort of pedagogy and really strong learning experiences, they came to UIC for a 2-day site visit, and we developed a networked learning experience for those programs over the 2 days. So, so first, my work at UIC to lead a continuously improving and exemplary program, and then porting those lessons to supporting other individual programs and networks and improving the quality of principal preparation is something I think would be really important for UCA generally and for the executive committee. But then let me also say, beyond that work that I've been doing, I'm also, my work on the practice of leaders and leaders that are able to improve schools, that research and work has migrated into a very large project that's taking place in the state of Illinois currently. Illinois State University and AIR received 2 grants for $16 million, a seed grant and an EIR grant, that is training principals in the state of Illinois over a 5-year period of time. And my research is figuring prominently in that design. I've been tasked with designing and training everyone that will lead professional development for the principals, people who will be leadership coaches to those principals, and the district leaders that are also tasked with supporting the principals who are engaged in that training. And it's going through a randomized control trial over 5 years. So I think the work that I'm doing in that area also, I think, has great importance to UCA generally and to the work of the executive committee.
Dr. Cosner, that brings us to our final question. Share the reasons why you have chosen to run for the UCEA Executive Committee and your vision for the future of UCEA.
Yeah, you know, let me say to begin with, my interest in the executive committee is really deep. Because I'm really committed and I'm really passionate to impacting educational outcomes and lives of children. And to do that, if you want to take that seriously, if you really want to impact the lives of children across the country, then you've really got to think about how to promote and advance the field of educational leadership generally. And when I think about doing that, when I think about the field of educational leadership generally, I think about 2 sort of levels: impacting the practices of boots on the ground K-12 educational leaders, and then at the same time impacting the programs that are preparing those leaders. And so from my perspective, the executive committee is really a place where that sort of impact can happen. And I really believe that I have the skills and abilities to work with other EC members to bring about an agenda and a vision and streams of work that can have those sorts of impact. You know, in our program at UIC, we have created a group of 15 people who are united in our program. The people who are faculty members and coaches and researchers, they are really arms locked together, united in service of our program and our city of Chicago. And so for me, the executive committee feels like another group where I can sort of lock my arms together in service. But in some ways, it's in service of a much broader population. It's thinking about being of service to all of our communities and all of our kids and all of our UCA network programs. And so those are the reasons why I'd be really interested in joining the members who are on the executive committee. And lastly, I just want to say it's just an honor for me to be considered. And so I'm just happy to have this opportunity to speak to you today about these topics.
Well, we definitely thank Dr. Cosner for her time and very thoughtful responses. This interview will be archived on the UCEA YouTube channel. Listeners can access or share the interview at any time. We also encourage listeners to post comments or questions on this interview in the comments section on the UCEA YouTube channel. Thank you and goodbye.